This is Optimal Finance Daily, episode 837, Shortest Path to Financial Independence by the Mad Fientist of madfientist.com. And I'm Dan, I'm your host here on Optimal Finance Daily, where I read to you from some of the very best personal finance blogs on the planet. And before we get to our post for today, if you've been listening for a while, you should already know that we give away books to random people on our mailing list, and that's something that happens each and every month. So if you want a chance to win, just make sure that you join. It is totally free. Just enter your email address at oldpodcast.com, and you can also participate in our 30-day challenges, get some free spreadsheets, and much more. Again, that's all through the free weekly newsletter at oldpodcast.com. For now, let's get right to our post as we start optimizing your life. Shortest Path to Financial Independence by the Mad Fientist of madfientist.com. What would you give up if someone said to you, if you give up 5 things, you can quit your job tomorrow and won't ever have to work again? What else would you give up if you instead had to give up 10 things or 15 things? At some point, it may not be worth it and you'd rather keep your job, but I imagine the list of things you'd be happy to give up could be pretty long. I actually thought about this a lot recently when creating the budget for an article called The Perfect Life. After determining what kind of life would make me and my wife happiest, I sat down to figure out exactly how much that perfect life would cost. Definition of financial independence. So before I describe the shortest path to financial independence, it's probably a good idea to reiterate my definition of financial independence. To me, financial independence is having enough income from your assets to cover your essential expenses so that you can survive without ever having to work again. Never having to work again is very different from never working again. Since I plan on working in some capacity after I achieve FI, on things I want to work on rather than what my boss wants me to work on, I'm not concerned with saving up enough money to cover my discretionary expenses. I'd rather reach FI as quickly as possible, quit my full-time job, and then slowly build up the amount of fun money I have by doing work that I enjoy. As Mr. Money Mustache described in his First Retire, Then Get Rich article, it's likely you will make more money and spend less post-FI than you anticipate. Therefore, I'm happy with this plan and am in no way worried about living a boring life after financial independence. So how can you achieve financial independence as quickly as possible? List current essential expenses. The first thing you should do is list your current essential expenses. This will allow you to understand how much you spend per month and will help you better predict how much you will need to spend after you quit your job. Predict future essential expenses. The number you computed in the previous step assumes your post-FI life will resemble your current life. Most likely, this will not be the case. When you no longer have to work, the number of expenses that you incur should decrease. This step is the fun part. If you really envisage your post-FI life, you can quite happily drop expenses that are no longer necessary or important to you. Housing. We currently own a house but plan on renting after reaching FI, and there are a few reasons for this. 1. No irregular expenses. If a pipe bursts or the roof leaks, I don't want to have to pay for it and I don't want to budget for it. I just want to pay X dollars a month and not worry about any additional expenses. 2. Just enough house. Right now we have a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, but only my wife and I live there. We bought a 2-bedroom house so that we could have guests and potentially have space for a nursery if we decided to have a baby. For the most part, however, this second room has been unused. Renting will allow us to get exactly the right-sized house for our current needs. We'll be able to spend less on a studio or 1-bedroom place and then move somewhere bigger if we eventually do need another bedroom. 3. Less stuff. Rather than maintain a house full of belongings, we're going to sell mostly everything we own and then rent furnished houses or apartments instead. The less stuff we have, the less we'll feel attached to a particular place, the more money we'll have in the bank, and the more flexible we'll be. 4. Geographic arbitrage. As I mentioned in the Perfect Life article, I also plan on using geographical arbitrage to bring my FI date even closer. By living somewhere like Thailand for a portion of the year, the income from my United States investments and businesses will go much further than if I lived in the States. Renting will allow us to easily move to cheaper places as needed or desired. The decision to rent smaller apartments or houses in cheaper places will allow me to decrease my future monthly expenses significantly. Transportation. Sadly, we currently require 2 cars for me and my wife to both get to work. The costs associated with these cars is ridiculous, and if I never have to own a car again, I won't. Post-FI, we won't need to own a car. Not having a car will probably result in additional public transportation costs, but by cutting out automobile ownership from our future expenses, I can decrease our future monthly expenses even further. Other expenses. I'm sure there are many expenses in your life that you'd be happy to substitute for free alternatives post-FI if you take some time to think about it. There's a big, exciting world out there with many amazing free things to do. So why not start with those and then move on to things that cost money after you get bored of all the free options? Library books instead of TV, running instead of gym membership, rock climbing on actual rocks instead of on a fake climbing wall that costs money to use. You get the idea. Why wait until FI? This exercise may help you decrease your current expenses even before you achieve financial independence. If you ask yourself, would I give up X if it meant I could quit my job tomorrow, and you answer yes, why would you continue paying that expense now? It's obviously not that important to you, so why not remove the expense now and instead use that money to get one step closer to achieving FI? Supplemental income for discretionary spending. The beauty of saving enough to only cover your essential expenses is that it will force you to really scrutinize your discretionary spending after you achieve FI. If you have to go out and make extra money to buy something, you'll most likely only buy things you really need or desire. You will truly be trading your free time for stuff, so you'll most likely only do that for things that are really important to you. Again, why wait? There's no need to wait until FI to see if you can limit your discretionary spending to what your supplemental income can provide. If you start developing supplemental income streams by doing things you enjoy now, you'll be able to increase your savings rate while cutting out the discretionary expenses that really aren't meaningful to you. Conclusion. In conclusion, here are the simple steps to achieve financial independence as quickly as possible. Record your current essential expenses. Envision your perfect life. Use your current expenses to help predict the future essential expenses in your perfect life. Determine what assets are needed to provide the necessary cash flow to cover those future essential expenses. Save and invest your way to that target, and enjoy FI. You just listened to the post titled Shortest Path to Financial Independence by the Mad Fientist of madfientist.com. And once again, if you'd like a chance to win books from us, as well as participate in our 30-day challenges, get free spreadsheets to optimize your life, and much more, make sure you're on our mailing list, which you can sign up for at oldpodcast.com. That is oldpodcast.com. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening and have a great rest of your day. I'll see you back here tomorrow for the Wednesday show, where your optimal life awaits.
Hello, Life Optimizer. This is Justin Malik, creator and producer of this podcast, but also Optimal Living Daily, the show where I read to you from even more blogs covering finance, productivity, minimalism, personal development, and more from incredible bloggers like Derek Sivers, Zen Habits, Mark and Angel, The Minimalists, and all the ones you hear on this show too. So if you enjoyed today's episode and like taking amazing blogs on the go, come on over to Optimal Living Daily and subscribe to that one too. And together, we'll start optimizing your life.
You've been listening to Optimal Finance Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode and head to oldpodcast.com. That's oldpodcast.com for a free gift as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.